Hello students, welcome to this video session about controlling. We're going to analyze the traditional techniques and modern techniques of controlling. So in the previous session, you would have learned about some of the traditional techniques including budgeting. So we will revise what is budgeting and then we will see the advantages of it now. So budgeting refers to planning in advance. So that's the simplest form of explanation for budget. Budget means a firm creates a report of what and how much it would like to operate in the coming period, whether it be a month or 3 or 4 months or 6 months or a year or even a 10-year period. So if a firm plans such operational activities in advance, it is called budgeting. So the purpose of doing budgeting is once the firm sets a standard for budget, afterwards, once the period is over, it will find the actual results of that particular period and then it will compare with the budget to know how the firm has performed over the period. So we have seen this kind of method in controlling beginning itself, when the planning is implemented, how to control so as the firm will operate according to the plan. So that's exactly budgeting. Each year a firm will create a few budgets in the beginning of the year, such as sales budgets, production budgets, so on and so forth. Sales budgets refer to how much sales should be done for the upcoming year. So if the business wants to earn a revenue of some 10 lakhs amount, and to earn the revenue, if the firm has to sell products worth of 1 crore, that is called the sales budget. So to achieve the sales budget, the firm has to operate accordingly from the beginning. So sales budget kind of acts as a standard for the performance for the firm over the year. So the budget not only refers how much the firm wants to earn, it also refers to the policy of the firm for the particular period, whatever it wants to achieve. So advantages of budgeting include focusing on target helps attaining objectives. So once the budget is set, every employee in the organization would be likely to work on achieving the kind of budget. So if there is no plan, obviously there is no control. We have learned that before. Like that, if there is no plan to achieve anything, the employees will not be motivated to work hard. So but if you set the standard for the employees will focus on the target, so they will help the organization as a whole achieve the target. Second, we have seen above, it motivates the employees who knows what is the standard to get appraisal. So if you motivate the employees that they will get an appraisal if the standard is being achieved, they will be likely to work harder to achieve that kind of budget, whatever it is. So therefore, budgeting helps in making the employees give their 100% to achieve whatever the standard is being set. Usage of optimum resources by pre-allocating them to the needed, thus reducing wastage. So budget already knows what kind of production that needs to be done over the year. So if the sales budget says that we need to sell goods for 1 crore rupees for the annum, we will know what kind of what amount of products that needs to be produced to make the sales of 1 crore. So yeah, if a product is worth 10 rupees and we need to make a sales of rupees 1 crore, we obviously need 10 lakh products to sell. So to manufacture 10 lakh products, 10 lakh units of the product, the company will strive to achieve the target from the beginning. Therefore, it will allocate the resources, the necessary amount of resources to the production units. And therefore, there will be no shortage, no oversupplying of the resources to anyone. So not only in the sales budget, it also will be used in the cash budget and everything. So for that upcoming year, what will be the amount of cash flow or inflow or outflow that will be necessary? So if there is more inflow necessary now, the business will obviously allocate the resources in the beginning of the year itself. Therefore, in the middle of the year, if the business finds itself tight of cash, there will be no shortage, an unnecessary shortage that could slow down the operations of the business. Third one, it facilitates the management by exception. Management by exception is a concept that we have learned in previous sessions. It means the business, instead of focusing on all the departments all at the same time, it will focus on the departments that only need help, that only need a managerial supervision. So to know which departments that need a managerial supervision, the business will compare the budget standard with the actual performance for the year, and whichever departments that hasn't attained the standard, and if the departments has attained the standard at a very minimum, the management will focus on improving that department, whether it be production, sales, or marketing, or HR, anything. That's called management by exception. So conclusion, effectiveness of the budget depends on how precisely it is prepared. So to prepare a budget, business needs accurate information. So based on that accurate information only, a budget can be prepared for any period. Flexible budget is prepared to adapt unforeseen changes. So flexible budget refers to something that is flexible over time. It is a budget, but it's not like once we prepare at the beginning of the year, we just like close it, file it, and seal it, and we keep it in the locker. Flexible budget is something that we change over the time. At the end of the month, according to the changes that happens in the market, we will change the flexible budget also. Even if it is the budget is made for a year, we will change the budget every single month to adopt it according to the changes, to adopt the standards, to change the standards according to the reality. So therefore, there won't be over or under exception of work by the departments or the employees. Next one is return on investment. It forms part of the modern techniques. So return on investment is one of the modern techniques that has been adopted by corporate as a strategy of improving their performance in the past few decades. To find out the invested capital is used by everyone for generating revenue. So return on investment means, as the name says, return means the revenue or income. On investment means the amount of resources that is being invested in a business. So return on investment refers to a ratio of how much a business is earning when compared to the investment that is being made in a firm. So the formula for return on investment is net income divided by total investment. Net income is the income after paying tax and all the expenses. You know what net income is? It is the expenses which is reduced to the gross profit, and after paying tax and other duties that needs to be paid is net income. That is compared with the total investment that includes the working capital and the fixed capital, such as the fixed assets and everything, and also the current assets such as cash, inventory, and so on. So all of the total investment below net income is the return on investment. So return on investment, the appropriate return on investment for a firm is anywhere close to 1 or even 1 or above, but to achieve a return on investment of 1, it needs to be either startup that is earning so much amount of revenue in the beginning of its years. But to achieve that kind of return on investment is difficult for businesses that has been existing for long periods. Therefore, return on investment needs to be improved, but it is rare that the number is close to 1. But you can improve the return on investment by increasing the sales or decreasing the investment without affecting the sales. So you can either increase the sales without increasing any investment, or you can decrease the investment without affecting the sales of the company, which means that you can sell some assets, or you can give back the capital to the investors. You can do a buyback of shares, something like that. You can do that, and you reduce the investment made in the business, which will improve the ratio. It helps in the management to compare the performance from previous year, before and after taxes, and performance of different departments. So return on investment is prepared every year, so the business can compare the return on investment of the previous year with the current year, and then they have analyzed what could have went wrong or went right, and they act accordingly. Or it can also be prepared before and after taxes, and see how much the tax has affected the return on investment. If the tax has affected too much, means the company needs to get some loans or some things to reduce the taxes, and it definitely needs to reduce the capital. But if the return on investment is comparatively lesser than before taxes, then it means that the company's leverage position is right, which means that it has a standard capital to the loan to the capital ratio. Therefore the business is in good hands. It also is compared with the different departments for the return on investment. The same ratio is calculated for different departments for different years, and is compared to measure the performance of each departments over time. Another one is ratio analysis. There are different ratios. There are up to 15 to 20 ratios that is to be calculated for the business to know the performance of a business. But we will see that in detail in ratio analysis, separate topic. But since this is just a small topic, we will just see what are the kind of ratios that is being used in a firm. First one is liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is analyzed to find out the short-term solvency of a firm. Short-term solvency refers to whether the firm will be able to function properly for the next say 6 months or 1 year. So it is short-term in nature, and the solvency simply refers to whether the business will be able to perform without without defaulting its loans to the stakeholders or the creditors in time. So if the business shows considerable amount of resources it has, so that it will be able to repay, then the liquidity ratio is positive. Or if the business shows that the credit rate is too much, and it's not having enough revenue to pay such credits, then it means that the liquidity ratio is too low. Therefore the liquidity ratio shows the short-term solvency. Solvency ratio shows the long-term solvency of the ratio. So this is just like the liquidity ratio, but it shows the result for a longer period, say 1 year or 2 year or 5 years, so on and so forth. And these kind of ratios are much more important for stakeholders than the businesses, because the stakeholders are the ones who has invested in the firm and who has their interest in the firm. Therefore, to make sure that they will get their debts repaid, or to know that they will get a return on their investment, they will need to find out the solvency and the liquidity ratios for the firm. Profitability ratios are ratios that reflects the amount of profit being generated for a particular amount of investment or sales or the funds transferred. So simply say, so if you invest 5 lakhs in a business and you earn a profit of 1 lakh per annum, it means that the profitability ratio is 20%. So 1 lakh divided by 5 lakhs is 20%. Therefore that is the profitability ratio of the firm. So that's how the profitability ratios function. But it's not only compared to the initial investment made in the company, say 5 lakhs. It is also compared with the amount of sales made in the year, for how many units or how many to sales. If you are making a sales of 1 crores, and the income from the sales is about 50 lakhs, it means that the remaining 50 lakhs is just an expense. So you might want to improve that ratio by about 70 to 80%. Therefore reducing the expenses. So the profitability ratios shows if the business is generating enough profit for the amount that is being invested on the firm. Turnover ratios reflects the effective handling of resources by the firm. So turnover simply means, in this parlance, how much the efficiency with which the resources of the firm is being handled, whether it be the inventories or the assets or the human resources, so on and so forth. All of these are the resources of a firm, and how much turnover refers to how much the resources are handled efficiently. The better turnover ratio means more efficiency of the firm, where the lower turnover means there is less efficiency, in which case the firm needs to adopt different practices to handle the resources.